friends, Elizabeth here. I hope you have been having a great week. I hope your 7-day food diary, either through pictures or writing it down, has gone well. I hope you've noticed some things about your eating habits, maybe about when you eat or what you eat. So how has it been going? What's been going well for you over the last 7 days, or what's going well for you today? It's a good practice to start off our time together with some gratitude, because again, we're turning on that parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest, the healing power of parasympathetic nervous system. Excellent. So we're thankful. All right. I want you to reflect on this week. How have you been doing? Have you been keeping up with your dietary goal? Have you been keeping up with your movement goal? How has it been going? Have you kept your food diary? Maybe you didn't do it every day. Did you do it at least for some whole entire days? Everything you ate from the start of the day to the end of the day? Part of the reason why I had you do that is because a lot of people kid themselves about their diet. They think, oh, I make healthy choices, you know? And then when you really look at it, you realize, oh, I was eating chips and candy and cookies and ice cream. Right? And you know what? It is okay to indulge ourselves sometimes. No, it's really okay to indulge ourselves sometimes. But when we are indulging ourselves all the time, every day, that's when we get junk in our trunk. Not so fun. Yeah. And we end up with diabetes, cancer, heart disease, etc. Right? Neurodegenerative diseases like ALS or Parkinson's, or not Parkinson's, Alzheimer's disease. These are the big killers, and we want to avoid that. So we want to indulge ourselves. We're humans, and it's totally fine to indulge ourselves. But when you're indulging yourself, tell yourself, I'm indulging myself. Don't deny it. Don't act like it's not happening. Really tell yourself, I'm indulging myself. Because when you do, your body actually turns on your metabolism at a higher rate. Whereas if you're pretending that you are not, your metabolism doesn't do that. You can lie to yourself and your metabolism will not work as well as you want it to. Okay? So if you're eating that ice cream, really enjoy it. You know? All right. Now let's move on. Actually, that's a good segue into the next part, which is eating with your senses. So if I am eating a bowl of ice cream, how can I use my senses to enjoy it? Okay, well, let's see. Nothing so much for hearing, maybe like the way it scoops out. Okay, seeing, we're going to visually appreciate our ice cream. We're going to look at it and think, that looks great, right? Okay, here comes the next one. So we've got hearing, we've got sight. Ooh, smelling the ice cream. Smelling the ice cream, yes. Smelling is such a big part of taste. It's really important to appreciate. So far we've got visual, we've got smelling. Now it's time for tasting. Oh, the ice cream tastes delicious, right? Now, what else do we notice? When we get to number 5, we've got, how does it feel, right? So the texture, and for ice cream, it feels cold. So if you're going to indulge yourself, engage your senses. Engage in it fully, okay? Don't be, pretend. And when you really do engage fully, it actually makes it easier to decide not to do it if it's a time when you're not really going to enjoy it. How's that for magic? All right, so really enjoy it. Now, that brings me to the next thing, which is really enjoying everything that you put into your mouth, okay? So sometimes we'll be walking by the staff room at the office, and somebody will have brought in a big bag of chips and just put it in a bowl, or they'll have popcorn with some kind of, stuff on it that makes it taste like irresistible. Maybe it's like kettle corn or something with the sweet and the salty. And we kid ourselves in those moments that it doesn't count, because it's like, oh, I'm just going to have a little bit. You know how that goes. You eat a little bit, then you have a little bit more, and then a lot more. And before you know it, you're like standing there with the bowl almost empty, and you're like, I better leave some for someone else. Have you been there? I've been there. I know about that. Okay, so people leave things in the staff room. I used to be a teacher, and people would bring cookies, right? And they just leave them in the staff room, like, please take one. Yeah. And if you are low blood sugar and you're walking through there, or you're really stressed out and you walk through there and you see a cookie and you think, oh, joy, right? You remember those good times when you were a kid and you got to eat the cookie and it made you feel so excited and happy, right? And so now you're walking through the staff room and you see those cookies sitting there and you're thinking, joy, tastiness. But what is it really? It's, I'm stressed out. And if you grab that cookie, you're adding to your stress. When we add sugar and carbohydrates, especially very refined carbohydrates, to a stressful situation, first of all, our body is not digesting at its full capability because we're stressed. And then we're adding sugar, which is going to spike our blood sugar and have an equal and opposite low in our blood sugar, right? So when it does this, we're losing even more energy than the baseline of where we started. So is eating the cookie giving us more energy? Temporarily. And then, no, it's draining us, right? So those are a couple of things to think about. So when we are really eating a meal that is healthy, we also want to engage our senses, okay? So we want to, I don't know, maybe there's a crunch we'll hear, or maybe it's the sound of the refrigerator door opening, and we hear that and we think, oh, it's about to be time, And then we see it, and we have the visual appeal of the food. Is it beautiful? Does it make me want to eat it just because it looks yummy, right? Smell. Smell the food. Even a salad smells delicious, right? A salad. Smell all the smells. I smell the tomatoes. I smell the carrot. I smell the sauce that I'm going to use. Maybe you mix up a vinaigrette and you smell those smells. Maybe you put some herbs and spices on it. I often like to have some bright flavors on my salads. Like, I know people usually think of it with savory, but I often put rosemary or some oregano or marjoram or something, or basil. Basil is one of my favorite. I have some basil growing in my garden most years, and I'll have parsley growing in my garden most years, and so I'll just go out and get some fresh, or I have rosemary that I've dried, and I'll get a handful of it and just crush it in my hand. Talk about engaging your senses, right? And I sprinkle that on my salad. Oh my gosh, it's so good. So those are some ways to enjoy the sound, the visual, the smell, and then it's time to taste. Now, when it is time to actually sit down and eat and taste our meal, one of the things that's really important to know, especially if you're trying to lose weight, is that digestion begins while the food is in your mouth. We have saliva that gets released in greater amounts when we're actually eating. And that saliva, while we're eating, contains digestive enzymes that begin the breakdown of the food. Okay? So digestion begins while the food is in your mouth. So you can see just by math that if you chew, swallow, you're going to have less powerful digestion than if you keep it in your mouth for longer. Maybe you chew 5 times. Maybe you chew it 10 times. Maybe you chew it for 20 times. I know it's hard to do if you're used to the 1-2 swallow, 1 chomp, 2 chomps swallow, right? So maybe you get three chomping events, right? And that's kind of normal. That's sort of average, is people put the food in their mouth, chomp, chomp, swallow. That's average. But you can improve your digestion a lot by chewing your food for longer. So here's a fun thing to do. This is an activity you can do like with your spouse or one of your kids or a friend. Maybe you've got a coworker who likes this kind of stuff. You can say, I'm going to have a chewing contest. Who wants to join me? And here's the deal. You all take a bite of food at the same time, and you see who can go the longest chewing your food. It is so much fun to do. It's so silly. It's good to do silly stuff sometimes like that. It takes care of your inner child, right? All right, so have a chewing contest with somebody. All right, I just want to make sure we've done all of our stuff. We're stretching out our meal. We're using our senses while we're eating. One last thing. You know, I talked about the cookie in the staff room. So you're stressed out, you're walking through there and you see the cookie and part of you lights up like, ooh, joy. And what really happens is you eat the cookie and gain a little bit of energy for a very short time. And then you have that really, that drop in blood sugar that makes you drained of energy, right? What I want you to think about is, what does it really feel like when you are hungry? What are the signals that your body gives you, telling you you're hungry, it's time to eat, or it's almost time to eat? Because when you're walking through that staff room and you see the cookie or you see the kettle corn or whatever it is, are you actually hungry? And the answer is probably not. The answer is probably, I see the food, I want to eat the food recreationally. Right? Because it's fun, it gives you that little boost for a short time, then you feel awful. So, what does it feel like when you're really hungry? And what if, over the course of the next week, you only ate when you were actually really hungry? What could that do for you? All right, so this week we are continuing our goals from before. We're working on our diet, we're working on moving our bodies, and we're going to work on stretching out the timing of our meals and only eating when we're hungry, okay? I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Bye.